You're listening to Sips of Sanity, your toolkit for emotional and intuitive intelligence, or what we like to call the dirty work. Let's do it.
Welcome to July's Sips of Sanity, and good morning, Kelly. How are you?
Good morning. I'm tired. How are you?
I feel good.
Oh, good.
I really like our topic, and I really enjoyed researching it and working on it with you, and I'm excited to share it with everybody.
Okay, I'd like to say that I echo the same sentiments. I'm just physically and mentally tired today. Not relevant to the show.
Right.
Okay.
That's fair. So for July Sips of Sanity, we were asked to create something from our patrons, and they gave us feedback and asked us to create a little mini series on intuition. So we accepted the challenge, and here we are. And what I did was I went out to get a definition off of the internet to see what people are reading and getting, and where some of their thoughts might be coming from to understand what intuition is. So if you just go online, and that's what I did, I just went online, I just typed in intuition, meaning, and what I got was this: the ability to understand something without conscious reasoning.
Okay.
So I think some people are going to interpret that differently than other people.
I think some people are going to understand that that isn't an inconclusive definition of intuition. But also understand that I think the definition of intuition is always going to be inconclusive.
That's fair.
It develops because of consistency in our behaviors, consistency in our patterns, our observation skills. It is, I think there's a lot of consistent action that helps develop intuition. And some might even argue, well, is it intuition or is it patterning? And you could have beautiful debates about what is and isn't intuition.
Or what is your intuition if you don't get validation?
Okay.
Right? Like, I think somebody could sit there and say, well, wait a minute, doesn't the definition have to include that you get validation for it? Otherwise, isn't in fact your intuition?
Okay, so if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, did the tree even really fall?
Yeah, exactly. I just think that it's just, as you said, it's inconclusive. And I do think that it is so wildly open to interpretation. And that's what we're going to tackle in the next couple of shows together.
Well, okay, are we actually tackling the definition or are we tackling building the skill?
We're going to tackle building the skill, what the blocks are, and how to build it.
Okay, then I would like to say, because we're not tackling the definition, let's talk about the point and why you would want to build it in the first place.
Okay.
Because if people are like, well, it's undefinable, why would I even want to do that thing? Then you could easily disconnect from this free show and decide there's no value in this or the rest of them. Or your own intuition, right? Which is dismissing a huge portion of who you are as a being.
Yes.
Intuition is one mechanism that allows us to connect on a deeper level, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And if you want to argue, spiritually as well. And without it, there are big missing pieces in our relationships. And not just with other people, but with our pets, animals, nature, purpose in life. Our intuition connects us to all things that bring us joy.
Right. Yeah, and your intuition can be the difference between taking that job that could make you happy for the rest of your life and taking the job where you're not happy for the rest of your life. Following your intuition is actually going to affect your emotional state as well, and the decisions you make or don't make that can affect your income. Well, they're going to affect all kinds of things. If we look at it, we can also say your intuition might tell you that this person isn't a good partner for you. And if you ignore that intuition, then you could be with somebody for many, many, many years and still not listen to your intuition.
Intuition can also be the thing that tells you, even though you got pregnant, now is not the right time.
That's a good one too.
That this soul isn't ready or you're not ready.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's small details And major details.
Yeah. And it helps you with things that say, hey, this is not what's best for you or in your best interest. Heads up. And you get to go, oh, thank you for that. That's going to save me a shit ton of grief. Appreciated. Or you might go, I don't believe in that. And then find life to be a lot more challenging and a lot more difficult and wonder why your life just isn't as easy as other people's. Right? So your intuition is there to tell you to make good, healthy choices. And some of them are going to be fun choices, and some of them are not. They're just going to keep you out of trouble, which can be just as beneficial as a fun choice. So what I did, Kel, was I went back to the internet and I looked up some synonyms, and I'm going to read them. And the reason I did that is because some people might be sitting there going, intuition, I really don't even know what the word is. I'm not familiar. Or they're using it interchangeably with other words that might have a little bit of a different meaning attached to it. And I just thought, maybe we'll go through and we'll read those first.
Okay.
So here are some of the words that they use as synonyms for intuition. Your instinct. And I'm just going to...
Agree.
Okay. Inherent.
Half and half.
Built in.
Okay, inherent and built in. I would agree with the understanding that most of, if not all of our intuition gets beaten out of us at a certain point because of systems, but that doesn't make it not inherent or built in.
Okay.
But I can understand why people feel like it's not, because they're clawing their way back to their natural instinct. What is built in? What is inherent?
Thank you. Similar.
What? That's not even, no.
Inborn.
Okay.
Innate.
Okay.
Untaught.
Yeah.
Unlearned.
Oh, like it wasn't learned, it was built in. Okay.
Automatic.
Okay.
Subconscious. And that's it. There were more, but I just wrote down some just to create that conversation so that people could sit there and go, ooh, I like that. I like questioning what it is, because some of us aren't questioning it. We are just completely dismissing it, unless we're watching a CSI show or we're watching a medical show where we watch another person use their intuition and we think that's so cool.
Yeah, go Meredith Grey.
Yeah, they're so brave. They just followed their intuition. And often in the shows, when these actors and actresses follow their intuition, it is against a system.
Characters. When the characters follow their
Pardon
intuition.
me. Yes, thank you, Kelly. When the characters follow their intuition, the big point in the show is that they're going to do it against a system. So I might follow my gut that I'm going to do this surgery, or I'm going to go back in and reopen them when the system in the medical community says you shouldn't do that. And then we watch that and we want them to get it right. We are rooting for the intuition. We want it to be, oh, that intuition saved a life. Yes, that's what we want to see. But then if it saves the life, we don't really go back and think, wow, are they ever courageous and they use their intuition and look at them develop it. We don't do that. Quite often we go, she's so smart. We go back and we put it on the intellect. We go back and we put it on something else. And we think, wow, she's really smart. And then the community around it sometimes can go, yes, she is. We're not going to give any credit to her intuition. We're going to go with the fact that she's smart, and let's give her an award for smartness. And so the intellect wins out and gets the credit for the intuitiveness.
Yeah, and let's explain why. We like predictability. Predictability ensures survival more than we think or believe intuition does. So it is a very natural desire to want to make sense of something. And the intuition sometimes allows for it and sometimes doesn't. But that doesn't fit a little box for us, especially in a world or a society that likes boxes and systems.
Right.
So how do we create one out of this abstract thing? Mm-hmm. Even what we're doing now is creating some kind of a box.
Yeah. Yeah, because you want to be able to use your intuition and develop it so that it is stronger and it does become tool-like. Now, for the average person who might not be the doctor saying, or the professional saying, I'm going to use my intuition here, and I do have leverage. I do have the ability to do that in my job to some degree, so long as everything goes well, right? But we want to take it to the average person listening today that isn't a medical doctor and just say, what about yours? So if we can we see where our intuition in everyday life, in a job interview, can be beneficial for us? Your intuition, whether you're going to plant your seeds before the long weekend in May, and you're going to, does my intuition tell me we're going to have a frost or not, right?
Are you speaking from a personal pain point here, Karen?
I'm just trying to make it relate. Yes, I could be, though. You're right. But I'm trying to say that we take it into the everyday things. And then some people might listen to that and go, well, no, the rule is that you never plant before the long weekend, because I want to go into my mind and I want rules.
Mm-hmm. Because we want to ensure the survival of something.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to keep throwing out those examples so that you can pull it back to what goes on deeply within us where we think, I can use my intuition because the risk factor is safe. Mm-hmm. It's just my garden. Or, the seeds only cost me $1 and I can plant a row. Let's go for it and see if my intuition is good enough. If I'm developing it, let's give it a try.
But if I tell the rule to someone else, now the risk is my credibility.
Yes.
If I follow my intuition. So I would like a rule.
Yeah. And then, hey, if you get brave enough, you might plant your seeds, go out and tell people, I planted my seeds. I'm following my intuition. I'm trying to see if it works. And maybe 3 weeks later, somebody walks up to you and says, how's your garden doing? And you go, oh, great. I've got little sprouts. They're about 2 inches high. Well, did you lose any of your garden? Did we get a frost? No, came close a couple of times, but things seem to be doing okay. Then your risk factor is small enough, and maybe small enough that if your friends are judgy, I'm going to call them judgy, that they might come back and say, hey, you used your intuition, that's good. Or maybe they don't, and you have to acknowledge it yourself and go, I used my intuition. This time it paid off, and I want to pay attention to that. Mm-hmm. And in my chart or in my mental tab, I'm noticing that my intuition is working. And you might write it in a journal to make an actual tab, or you might just go, that felt really good, and I like my garden. Mm-hmm. And then allow that to sit in your heart. Allow that to make you feel good that, that actually works for me. That's really cool. And then just maybe 5 minutes later, you use your intuition again, where the risk factor is low enough that you're not ashamed or it doesn't cost you your life, right? Mm-hmm. Cool. So that's today's show. What we really want people to do is to go, wow, our intuition is a part of who we are as human beings. Animals have instinct, insects do, every living thing. Trees have instincts. We all have instincts. We all have intuition.
So what can we look forward to in the next couple shows then?
Okay, so we're going to tackle what blocks people from using their intuition in 2 shows.
Okay.
Because there are a ton of blocks that come from an internal source and blocks that come from what other people around you can say or do or not say and do that affect whether you feel strong enough or courageous enough or just playful enough to try and see where your intuition is at. And then we're going to step into the last 2 shows to actually build your intuition. And we're going to give you the tools to do it.
Okay. Good week.
It is.
Thanks for listening to Sips of Sanity. Catch the full monthly series on patreon.com/by Sarlo.